Hello and welcome to the Quiver channel. I am Jason, your host. The problem with EVs, electronic vehicles. I've been doing a massive deep dive into all of this in the UK because if my mobility component is taken to the higher amount, and I will get myself an EV. For me it is a no-brainer. I have solar panels in the backyard. The vehicle will be used not to go to work or anything, but to have a way to leave the house when I want to. This will happen rarely, but having the ability to leave the house and having a mobile safe space built around the technology of an EV in there is a bonus, is a definite positive. But the problems with EVs. Okay, first of all, the charging network. This doesn't affect me primarily because I will be charging via home and everything. But if you are reliant on the public charging network, it needs to be a public charging network. It needs to be government backed. It needs to have a watchdog overseeing it so that the companies maintaining it make sure that you actually can charge there. They keep them maintained, and there needs to be this weird this charger or this charger or this charger situation needs to go away. We need to have a universal charging system, and it needs to be backed by the government. If they want us to switch to EV completely, we need to cover the entire country with solar powered and wind powered charging stations. Every street, every single area of a town, every single national park, because this is supposed to help the environment. But you need that. You need the infrastructure for the country before we can switch. You can't just say, oh, this is the cut-off date for diesel or petrol, if the infrastructure is not there, and it isn't there yet for electronic vehicles. Second, recycling and reusing. At the moment, the mistakes and onus are on people buying electric vehicles. They don't realise just how quickly they depreciate and how quickly the battery packs can need replacing. Now, some companies do 10-year warranties and that on their vehicles and that, but you've got to remember, need to put in place a situation where most people in the UK should be on a leasehold for a vehicle. So you lease an electric vehicle for 3 years, and then the company replaces it with a newer one. They take that vehicle back, recycle it, recycle the batteries, recycle every part of it possible, and use it to build the new ones. That way it's good for the environment. But there is a massive amount of people out there with basically worthless electric vehicles. This is a really bad thing. Some makes of EVs are brilliant, and some makes of EV battery can even 10 years later have 60-70% usage still. Now that doesn't help if the battery, when it was fully ability to be used, only had 135-25 mile range when it was sold 10 years ago. Because if you take off 30% of that, that's going to drop it below 100, and that's going to not be usable for a lot of people. We need government backing. We need companies to take the hit on this, not the end user. If a company is going to sell electronic vehicles, then they need to be looking forward towards the recycling of those vehicles. If we're going to make it a proper future, We don't know whether EVs are a interim technology. They probably are. But if we want to switch properly and you want customer and public trust in EVs, then you've got to have the infrastructure. You've got to have the recycling of batteries. You've got to have a good quality tariffs and boosts and reasons for people to switch. Because yes, it is cheaper to charge an electric vehicle, but what if you can't charge it? It is only cheaper to charge an electric vehicle if you can charge it. It is only better for the environment if it's recycled. If you have and the thing is, from a mechanical and electronic point of view, there should be upgrade paths for electronic vehicles. After all, more efficient motors, unlike a car built around a mechanical engine, a diesel or petrol engine, where the entire infrastructure of the car the infrastructure of a EV is based around a battery pack and electric motors. And that by design should be modular, so that no matter what you've got, a Nissan or a Audi or a Tesla, in 5 years' time, in 3 years' time, you should be able to replace with more efficient the motors and a more powerful or a better thingy. And this should also be on the companies and backed by government, because they want to make this push. This doesn't affect me, because if I get one, I'm going to be on a 3-year rolling lease. But if the government wants people to buy into EVs, they need to provide the infrastructure, and they need to guarantee cheap electricity for EV users. It's just the way it has to be. If they want us to move to it, they've got to pay for it, not us. When it comes down to it, the Motability system is very well good, because you have this, you basically 3 years and then it goes back and then you go another one. So you're always in this cycle, and that goes back to the company and so on, back to thingy. And that we all need to make sure that electronic vehicles are recycled so much more than mechanical vehicles. Combustion-based vehicles can last many years, and the mechanical parts that wear out and that, in the short term and that medium term, while you take a bigger hit in the environment for the start of it, most of the parts that wear out on a vehicle are not rare earth metals, whereas the parts that will wear out and degrade and need to be recycled are the rare earth. We need to take the same approach we do with old e-waste and strip it down and reuse it. So this is Jason for the Clever Channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day.